Till Death Do Us Part. How a Pop Star Uncovered Husband's Secret Life. Hey everyone, welcome to the Will I Be Happy channel. I'm your narrator, and this time, we're diving into a thrilling new story about a tumultuous relationship between a couple who navigates love, betrayal, and the dark corners of their hearts. This story will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's get started. Rain softly pattered against the window, creating a rhythm that mirrored the turmoil in Madelena's heart. Alone in the dimly lit kitchen of her Beverly Hills home, she swirled the wine in her glass, memories of passionate nights and soft whispers haunting her thoughts. Their once electric connection had fizzled, leaving behind only ashes. Even rainy days, which were Madelena's favorite, couldn't bring back the joy that had long abandoned her eyes. Her days were now a slow drip of sorrow and longing for something she had lost and could never get back. As she reminisced about a life she once had, her eyes welled up and tears began rolling down her cheeks. Even the sky was crying with her. Shaun's aloofness had grown like a shadow over their lives. Tonight, his absence felt suffocating. He was staying out till late and would often disappear for hours without any explanation. It was obvious that he wasn't in love with her anymore, and no seduction could bring him back. Was there someone else in his life? Madelena, a veteran pop star, even though she was not yet 30 years old, had tried everything: lace lingerie, candlelit dinners, spontaneous weekends away, but nothing rekindled their spark. When he laughed, it was at her, not with her, and each sound was a dagger to her soul. The front door creaked open, and Shaun staggered in, the scent of whiskey heavy on his breath. His eyes, once full of desire, were now cold and distant. Madelena braced herself for the sharp words she knew would come. The bruises from his harsh words were invisible, but they hurt more than any physical blow. The rising movie star slumped into a chair and slurred, "Madelena, we need to talk." His voice was cold and indifferent. Finally, the words she had been dreading to hear escaped his lips. "I don't love you anymore. I don't think I ever did." He said it so casually, as if he hadn't just shattered her entire world in a single moment. Tears pricked her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wouldn't give him that satisfaction. "Then why are we still here? Shaun, why are we doing this to each other?" she whispered. Shaun shrugged his nonchalance. A slap in the face. Habit, maybe? Or fear of being alone? Madelena looked at him, realizing that he didn't just despise her. He despised himself. His self-loathing was a poison, and it was destroying them both. She had to leave for her own sanity, but as she gathered her strength, she wished he'd ask her to stay. "Just one more time," she whispered to herself, "till death do us part." Weeks turned into months, and the tension in the house grew unbearable. Madelena and Shaun were like strangers in their Beverly Hills home, each step and word calculated to avoid confrontation, but avoiding the inevitable was impossible. Shaun's drinking became worse, and with each drink, his anger intensified. He began to lash out, not just with words but with objects. Vases shattered, doors slammed, making Madelena feel like she was walking through a minefield. She couldn't stay here anymore, but where could she go? This was her home. "You need so much, but not from me," Madelena muttered, tears streaming down her face, after yet another fight. Shaun turned his back on her and sneered, "You think I don't see something's wrong? You think I don't know you're unhappy?" One evening, after another explosive argument, Madelena packed a small bag. She couldn't live like this. The bruises on her arms were fading, but the emotional scars ran deep. She left a note on the kitchen table and walked out, hoping to find some peace. She found solace at her friend Lisa's apartment in West Hollywood, but the pain of leaving Shaun haunted her. She still loved him despite everything. She hoped he would come to his senses and realize what he was losing, but days turned into weeks, and there was no word from him. Then, one night, her phone rang. It was Shaun. Relief washed over Madelena, and all she could think was, maybe there was hope after all? She picked up the phone immediately and whispered, "Shaun?" For a moment, there was no response. But then, in a trembling voice, Shaun said something Madelena was hoping to hear from him all along. "Madelena, please come home. I need you." Her heart raced. Was this the moment she had been waiting for? Could they start over? She rushed back, but as soon as she walked in, she knew nothing had changed. Shaun was still the same, and his anger was still there. "Why do you always leave when things get tough?" Shaun demanded, his voice dripping with venom. "Because you make it impossible to stay," Madelena replied, her voice barely above a whisper. As she settled back into the familiar discomfort, she whispered again, "Till death do us part." Madelena's return didn't bring the reconciliation she had hoped for. Instead, it reignited the cycle of fights and apologies. Shaun made demands she couldn't meet, and she found herself lying to avoid his wrath. Truth had become a casualty in their dying relationship. "You're nothing without me, Madelena. You know that, right?" Shaun spat out one night after another bitter argument, his eyes filled with venom. "I won't let you break me," she whispered, clutching her keys. That night, after a particularly vicious argument, Madelena decided she had had enough. She needed to leave for good this time. She packed her bags and left, seeking refuge in a different city, far from the memories of their broken home. She found a personal assistant and tried to rebuild her life, but Shaun's shadow loomed over her. He called her, begging her to come back, promising that this time it would be better, that he was a changed man now. Each time she was tempted, but she knew that his words were nothing but empty promises. She had to be strong. One day she received a call from the hospital. Shaun had been in an accident. Her heart sank. She rushed to his side, and as she sat by his bed, she saw a glimpse of the man she had fallen in love with. He was vulnerable and broken, and for a moment, she believed they could start over. "Madelena," he whispered, his voice fragile. "I'm lost without you." But as he recovered, his old habits returned. The cycle began again, and Madelena realized that some things never change. She couldn't keep living like this. So she made the hardest decision of her life. She had to leave, and this time, she wouldn't come back. As she packed her bags one final time, she discovered a hidden drawer in Shaun's desk. Inside were letters, dozens of them, written to another woman, a production assistant in the film that made him a familiar face in every home and a favorite of paparazzi. They revealed an affair Shaun had been having for years. Betrayal washed over her. This was the final nail in the coffin. Madelena left without looking back, her heart shattered, but her resolve was unbreakable. "I trusted you, Shaun. How could you—" Madelena's voice broke as she confronted him, her eyes filled with tears. "It meant nothing, Madelena. You were always my true love," Shaun pleaded, but his words were empty. Madelena, now resolute, muttered, "Till death do us part." Madelena's departure was final. She moved to a new city and began to heal, but the memories of her life with Shaun lingered, a constant reminder of what could have been. One night, she received a call from Shaun's sister. Shaun had passed away. His drinking had finally caught up with him. Madelena felt a mix of sadness and relief. She mourned the man she had loved, but she also felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. She attended his funeral, standing at the back of the crowd. As she listened to the eulogies, she realized that Shaun had been loved by many, but he had never truly loved himself, and that had been their undoing. Madelena walked away from the funeral with a sense of closure. She knew she had done everything she could to save their relationship, but some things were beyond her control. She had to let go and move on. As she started her new life, she found strength in her resilience. She had survived the darkest times and emerged stronger, and while the scars remained, they were a testament to her strength and courage. The story of Madelena and Shaun is tragic, but it is also a story of survival and hope. Madelena has found her way out of the darkness and is ready to embrace the light. The last chance has come and gone, and she is finally free. Madelena, you deserve happiness, Lisa had told her one night over wine. Don't let anyone take that from you. And with that realization, Madelena stepped into her new life, ready to face whatever came next. With her head held high and her heart open to new possibilities. Looking to her future, she whispered, "Death finally parted us, and now I'm free." Madelena had settled into her new life without her leading man, finding comfort in the routine of her new hobbies and the support of her friends. She felt a sense of freedom she hadn't known in years. The memories of Shaun were beginning to fade, replaced by a cautious optimism for the future. One evening, as Madelena was relaxing at home, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Meet me at the old place. I have something you need to know. S." Her heart raced. Could it be? She had heard about Shaun's death and attended his funeral. It couldn't be him. Curiosity and a lingering fear gnawed at her, but she decided to go. Arriving at the abandoned warehouse where they used to meet during their more passionate, secretive times, she found it eerily quiet. The memories of their heated encounters here were overwhelming. "Madelena!" a familiar voice whispered from the shadows. She turned to see Shaun, alive and well, stepping into the dim light. "Shaun, but how?" Madelena stammered, her mind reeling. "I had to make you believe I was gone," Shaun said, his eyes intense. "It was the only way to escape the mess I was in and give you the freedom you deserved. But there's something you need to know." "What could possibly justify this?" Madelena demanded, anger and confusion swirling within her. "I never stopped loving you, Madelena. Every word I said, every harsh thing I did was to protect you from the truth," Shaun confessed. "You see, the affair, the fights, they were all staged. I was being blackmailed by dangerous people. I had to push you away to keep you safe." Madelena's head spun with this new revelation. "So you faked your death and let me believe you were gone? Do you have any idea what that did to me?" Shaun stepped closer, his eyes pleading. "I know it hurt you, but it was the only way to protect you. Now that the danger has passed, I want to start over if you'll have me." She took a step back, needing space to process. "Till death do us part," she whispered, the words now holding a different meaning. "Exactly," Shaun replied softly. "I couldn't let death be the end for us. I won't let it keep us apart." What a shocking twist! Shaun's return has left us with more questions than answers. Will Madelena choose to start over with Shaun, or will she continue on her path to newfound freedom? Comment below and tell us your thoughts. Remember to subscribe for more unexpected tales and emotional journeys. Until then, stay happy.